Part 1. In a city that never sleeps, where secrets lurk behind every closed door, a shocking tragedy rattled the streets. On a cold, restless night, the lifeless body of Ronald Carter, a prominent local businessman, was discovered in his upscale apartment. The silence of the evening was shattered by whispers of betrayal and mystery. Just steps away in a modest yet immaculate kitchen lay the body of his trusted guard, Dale Richmond, whose presence had always been a silent promise of protection. The scene was a cryptic blend of luxury and decay, a stark reminder that in this city, even the seemingly untouchable could fall victim to a brutal fate. The investigators, drawn by the magnetic pull of this high-profile case, quickly assembled at the scene. They found an open and empty safe that once promised security and wealth, its gaping door now a symbol of loss and deceit. In a twist that sent chills down the spine of everyone involved, traces of heroin were discovered in the deserted desk drawer of Ronald Carter. The scent of narcotics mingled with the metallic tang of spilled blood, hinting at a sinister alliance between money and addiction. As the fog of confusion began to lift, suspicion fell on an individual whose past was as dark as the shadows enveloping the crime scene. A recently released associate, Jason Monroe, a man with a criminal record tainted by drug trafficking, found himself at the epicenter of the investigation. His connection to Carter was a whisper in the corridors of power, a remnant of a turbulent history that both men tried desperately to bury. But as further details emerged, it became clear that something far more intricate was at play. More intriguing still, investigators uncovered an unexpected twist, a meticulous trail leading to a woman draped in both elegance and enigma. Alicia Summers, known in the local nightlife as a dazzling dancer at an upscale club, had been spotted near Carter's apartment on the fateful day. Her delicate fingerprints imprinted on the interior of the open safe surfaced as the investigators pieced together the puzzle. Was her presence a mere coincidence, or did she play a part in a design that was far more elaborate than anyone could imagine? As the evidence layered upon one another like the pieces of a complex mosaic, the atmosphere grew charged with the promise of dangerous revelations. Who was orchestrating the deceit? Which secret alliances and betrayals led to the violent end of both Carter and his loyal guard? And what was the significance of the seemingly orchestrated connection between a notorious criminal and a glamorous dancer? With each new clue, the case spun a web that entangled the influential and the infamous alike, a web that beckoned the curious to peer deeper into the heart of treachery. Part 2. As investigators delved deeper into the twisted labyrinth of evidence, unsettling discrepancies began to emerge, challenging every initial assumption. The open safe, once thought to be a straightforward symbol of betrayal, now stood as silent testimony to a meticulously orchestrated ruse. Forensic specialists and criminologists questioned the chronology. If Alicia Summers had indeed activated the safe, her actions somehow took place after the lethal encounter that claimed Carter and Richmond's lives. It was as if time itself had contorted, leaving behind a trail of inexplicable gaps that pointed to the involvement of a mysterious third party. Theories swirled like a dark tempest in the minds of the seasoned detectives, led by investigator Michael Donovan. Was it possible that someone had deliberately engineered the scene to deflect suspicion? Every new revelation added more layers of complexity. Suspicion regarding Jason Monroe, the recently freed drug trafficker, was intensifying. His criminal past and alleged association with Carter had drawn his name into a dangerous spotlight. Yet as the evidence mounted, it became increasingly clear that Monroe's presence in the apartment was perhaps a mere diversion, a pawn in a grander scheme. His brief time inside the apartment, corroborated by ambiguous surveillance footage provided by a neighbor, painted him as someone caught in the undertow of events rather than the mastermind. A chilling pattern began to emerge from the forensic reports. Traces of heroin in Carter's desk drawer linked him to a world teetering on the edge of legality, a world where fortunes were made and ruined by the fleeting touch of illicit substances. The discovery forced investigators to consider the possibility that Carter might have been indebted to dangerous liaisons, his personal and financial empires undermined by shadowy figures operating behind closed doors. Yet as each fact was unearthed, a crucial question remained. Who had the power and motive to orchestrate such a multifaceted ploy? Alongside these puzzling details, another intriguing discovery fueled the madness. A hidden ledger overlooked in the initial sweep of the apartment hinted at a nexus of corruption linking influential business circles and notorious underworld networks. This ledger, replete with coded entries and untraceable transactions, seemed to implicate forces far beyond the immediate circle of suspects. It raised the specter of a vast criminal enterprise, one that could extend its reach into every facet of the city's bustling metropolis. Clues suggested that Carter, despite his outward success and affluence, had been entangled in this perilous game, a game in which power, greed, and betrayal knew no bounds. Every piece of evidence, from the subtle smudges of fingerprints to the strategically placed drug paraphernalia, whispered of hidden alliances and clandestine meetings under the veil of night. The investigation was now a frenetic race against time, with every answer leading to a dozen more questions. Tension mounted as Detective Donovan painstakingly reconstructed the timeline. The inconsistencies in witness statements and the cryptic connections between a glamorous dancer, a notorious drug trafficker, and a high-flying businessman pointed to a conspiracy that might even implicate other high-ranking figures in society. Even as the detective team honed in on potential leads, they realized that the true murderer might still be lurking in the shadows, a phantom figure who manipulated events from a distance. The case was evolving into a sprawling investigation that challenged the very fabric of trust and loyalty. Each terse remark from a reluctant informant, each newly uncovered document, only deepened the mystery of who was behind the deadly facade. Had someone used Alicia Summers' transient touch on the safe as a smokescreen to mask their real intent? Was the ledger merely a fragment of a larger, devastating plan? The answers lay hidden in the interstices of a meticulously woven narrative of greed, power, and deceit, a narrative that refused to remain confined to the obvious. Part 3. As the investigation hurtled toward its climax, the detectives began piecing together a tangled web of deception and hidden motives. New evidence steadily emerged, aligning the disparate fragments of a seemingly unsolvable puzzle. Even as the shadow of suspicion loomed over familiar faces, an elusive presence continued to haunt every step of the inquiry. Rumors pointed to a mastermind, a shadowy architect whose calculated maneuvers created the perfect storm. A storm that saw a businessman and his loyal guard ruthlessly dispatched in a single, cold-blooded moment. Detective Michael Donovan and his dedicated team retraced every step, interrogating a labyrinth of suspects whose lives were intricately interwoven. Each revelation about Ronald Carter's secret dealings and dangerous liaisons painted him not as a victim of random fate, but as a man ensnared by his own ambitions. Meanwhile, the mystery of that open safe and the haunting fingerprints of Alicia Summers deepened. It appeared that the dance of fate and desperation had been choreographed to perfection. The misdirection involving Jason Monroe, the former criminal with ties to drug trafficking, was slowly revealed to be a calculated false trail planted to obscure the true puppet master behind the scene. In a breakthrough that sent tremors through the investigation, forensic experts uncovered a subtle, almost imperceptible smear of evidence that linked the elusive third party to the scene. This individual, operating from the fringes of the city's underbelly, had manipulated key players with surgical precision. Every new piece of evidence, the contradictory timelines, the enigmatic ledger full of scrambled transactions, and the obscure bank transfers, suggested that a cabal of influential figures might have been orchestrating a broader conspiracy. Their ambitions reached far beyond the immediate homicide, expanding into a realm of power struggle and ruthless intrigue that threatened to upend the established order. The detectives now stood at the crossroads of a monumental dilemma. To expose the truth could mean dismantling a network that had its tendrils deeply embedded in the city's core institutions. The final question loomed large. Was Ronald Carter merely a pawn caught in a grand, intricate game where loyalty was fleeting and betrayal was the currency of power? And if so, who truly pulled the strings? As the final fragments of evidence were laid bare, a tantalizing mystery remained unsolved, urging viewers to ponder if the real mastermind was still at large, orchestrating chaos from the shadows. In the twilight. In every whispered conversation, what price are we willing to pay when the truth hides behind the veil?